Got a question for you. How inspired are you to start each day? That's alright, take your time. You're going to have to pause it because I'm going to continue. Right? That's what's happening next. Just watch the video again. Look. You know that there are people that wake up at 6 a.m. each morning. I'm not one of those people, by the way. But there are people that wake up at whatever time they wake up. They jump out of bed. Yes! They go on a little jog. Thank you, God. And those people are called Vietnamese refugees. But apart from them, there are a select few people, usually I'm imagining they have those 80s joggers suits that match perfectly with their wife, and they walk down looking very hot for a 70-year-old. And you know that they return to their mansion and get on with whatever it is that they do, which I assume is invest in soybeans. And they're really happy about it. And I think that that mentality comes first most of the time. Usually, if you are an extremely wealthy person, but you were born into it, and I know this from talking to Ali, who was in the elite aristocracy of Pakistan, they're all little shits. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you're happy. You can be happy and rich, but you have to develop that psychology yourself. And it's the same as being poor. You can be ecstatic being poor. Just go and see like any old Mexican grandma. They've always got this like, oh, I'm very Catholic, yes. That's pretty good. That's pretty much all you need to know about them. I makes very good tacos and very, 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 very Catholic. That's pretty much their whole life. But they're happy with it, so good for them. Are you happy with your life? No, that's why you're watching this video. Stay tuned to find out how. But I think that what's even better than being happy is being inspired, because I think happiness and sadness kind of dips in and out throughout the day, depending on your brain chemistry or whatever. But I think that when you're in that inspired mode, first of all, you just feel kind of clear-headed and giddy anyway, but on top of that, even if you are feeling sad, you kind of just plow through, because you're inspired. But I just want to ask you that. How inspired do you feel starting each day? Because I'm imagining most of you just sit there, and you're like, the highlight of my day is having those Nutri-Grain things that are filled with chocolate. And then after that, I feel like shit. I wonder why. Because you're basically drinking a milkshake at the beginning of each day. It tastes good, and I'm assuming that that has nothing to do with the sugar in it. That's how most people kind of go through life. Again, I'm saying it again, most people walk through life in a walking haze. They kind of just go, I feel shit at the moment. I'm going to write a bitchy comment. That's how most people go through life. They aren't inspired. But you know where inspiration comes from? Inspiration comes from vision. When you have a vision for yourself, a vision for a better future than you have now, it doesn't matter how shitty your circumstances are at the moment, if you have that to aim for, not only will you supersede those circumstances, you will get out of those circumstances. That's the first part. That's the first part of why you should be doing it. But on top of that, it just makes your day-to-day experience better. Because really all you have is emotions. You can be in, as we were just saying, the Bahamas, and you can be having a shit time. You can be in the opposite of the Bahamas, the shittest place on earth, Redfern. You can be in Redfern and have utter joy and fulfillment in life. It just depends on what you're focusing on. And if you're focusing on making and creating a better future for yourself, you will feel good about your circumstances now. You will start to feel grateful about everything that you have, even if you have nothing, even if you have, quote, just the shirt on your back. That is why a lot of Vietnamese refugees are so happy in Australia, and they move on to starting up bakeries and laundromats and all of these really repetitive, boring jobs that no one else wants to do, and they love doing it. They get up each day inspired, being like, yay, I'm not in fear of just like walking on a landmine today. That's a good thing. They have all of these little things that they're very grateful for, and so that psychology sort of propels them into the point that they are wealthy. It's the same thing as my girlfriend's parents. When they came here, extremely poor. It's the same pattern over and over. You know how we're always talking about how Buddhists are at the top? Out of all the ethnicities, the ones that adapt best to Western society and they end up becoming the richest and the most educated, it is the Vietnamese. The Vietnamese do that. And you can see it reflected in their country. After 30 years of total war, they have somehow been able to manage themselves out of that without being, a pawn of the US empire, and on top of that, they're kind of just on that China trajectory path now. They're an extremely industrious people. They have a superior psychology than the people in the West. The fact that they beat the US empire shows it, right? They've got real gumption. I mean, dude, if you see what work goes into starting a bakery and keeping that bakery going, anything that you're doing right now, oh my lord, degree, so much work. It's not as much as being a baker that makes, let's be honest, subpar donuts to the ones in Coles. Sue me. They make good rolls, right? Am I right? I'm right. Those people in life, they have that mentality of just kind of being inspired for the fact, and I think there's also, a lot of that is just the fact that they came from a total war scenario, but it's not just that, because there's other people that come from, war-torn backgrounds that do not have that psychology. There is a definite feeling of gratitude there, but I think that the main thing is that, and you can talk to, well, you can't talk to them, I'm not going to tell you who they are, but Tu's parents, they have really shitty English, when I do talk to them, and there is some kind of back and forth conversation of it, you can see that they have like an excited vision of their life. They started off with nothing. When they came here, they actually just came with the shirts on their backs. Today, they are upper middle class. And my girlfriend kind of just grew up in poverty, but her sisters did not. They're a lot younger than she is. And that's why there was that big disparity. She was kind of one of those kids who was like, I didn't have Pokemon, so instead I played bookworm spelling. It's really tragic. So she didn't even get engaged in which Pokemon cartridge is better, the one with Blastoise or Charizard on it. It's so weird. That's so pathetic how removed our childhoods are. All these like pieces of shit watching us be like, oh, Dad, you had Pokemon. What are you sad about? But it's that feeling, I think, of getting up each day and being excited by the fact that you're alive. That comes from having a vision, having a clear vision, an exciting vision of where you want to be in life. And you can create that for yourself right now. If you are not feeling that, if you are not feeling this thing of like every second is worthwhile, every second is exciting to me, you can do that. I don't know, I was going like, but you can do that. You can do that. It's just about setting the right goals for you personally. If you are not feeling that, jumping out of bed and then naturally just wanting to work on those goals, then they aren't big enough. They're not exciting enough to you. I actually think that it's the exact opposite way around. I think that when people say like, set realistic goals, I think what they're talking about is setting the, implementation goals. You set those ones realistically, right? Just those little steps up the way and you just pat yourself on the back for doing those things. But those big end result goals of, I don't know, I want to live in a solid gold mansion and have a solid gold Ferrari, so obviously it doesn't work. You have to put those in your head. Because just that pursuit, that little carrot in front of you, changes your psychology. That's what you're focusing on every morning. Your entire life is just through the camera lens of focus, right? If you're just putting that camera, such an old example, but if you're just putting a VHS camera at a party and you're showing someone puking, that's what you're going to remember about that party. If you show just like some Chad making out with two bitches, that's what you're going to remember about that party. That's how your life works as well. It's just whatever that camera is focusing on. And if you are making your brain focus on something that is big, something that is exciting, first thing in the morning, you are going to be inspired. And if it just keeps getting drilled into your head over and over again, you just start subconsciously moving towards it. So I want you to do that for yourself. If you have written down your goals, and I bet you, what is it here? In fact, like the video if you haven't written down your goals. And I bet you, and actually do that. Just prove it to me. This isn't about me. This is not about me. This is just about a little pact between us, all right? This has got nothing to do with metrics. I just want you to be honest with yourself. Are you actually writing down your goals daily? Have you forgotten? Are you actually doing it? I know that I talk about it all the time, but that's the difference. Talking about it and doing it are two different things. But if you just keep getting it hammered in your head, if you just keep feeling guilty over and over again that you aren't doing these basic things, you will start doing them. So I'm just trying to remind you of this point, that you need to create yourself a vision. Now, this isn't even the goal setting point, right? I just want you to create a vision. Don't worry about goals. Goals are kind of just achievable dreams, right? They're kind of just like, I need to get here. This is where I want to be at the end of the year. This is where I am now. I'm trying to get here. I want you to create the ultimate vision. I want you to, as in much detail as possible, I want you to talk about your partner. I want you to talk about your financial situation. I want to talk about where you live. I want you to talk about your career. I want you to talk about your societal impact on life. I want you to just think about those frames, put on some nice positive music. Again, SimCity 4 doesn't get any better than that. It doesn't. Is there a better soundtrack? Write it in the comments, because last time I did that, everybody just put in all these shit no, sorry, no, I'm standing by it. It's better. I want you to just write that down. I want you to write down your ultimate vision in life. What would your ideal life look like? Doesn't have to be realistic. In fact, the less realistic, the better. The more it's just like, I'm just on the moon without oxygen, so you're dead. Yeah, pretty much. I just want you to write that down. I just want you to write down, like, ideally, if you were living the ultimate life, what would it be like? What would your partner be like? Etc. That's it. Because I want you to be excited about what the possibilities of your future is. Because if you are excited about it, you will have more energy in life, and that energy will transfer into action, and that action will transfer into results, and you will get very close, if not on top of that goal. I can promise you that. Because most people don't do this. They don't put in the basics. So, do that. Give yourself the ultimate vision. Write down your ultimate vision now. Like this video, give me more questions.